Christian Association of Nigeria, others condemn Boko Haram education bill. Sacked Bayelsa APC Deputy Governor Ememio defense certificate. APC seeks review of Supreme Court judgment. In international news, EU leaders bicker over €1 trillion budget. And in sport, Pinnick Sanusi win case over alleged misappropriation of FIFA grants.
This is ANN News.
I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Christian Association of Nigeria and some other groups have berated the Nigerian Senate for a proposal to work on a bill for a law seeking the establishment of a national agency for education and rehabilitation of repentant Boko Haram insurgents. The bill, sponsored by All Progressives Congress member representing Yobe East Senatorial District and former governor of Yobe State, Senator Ibrahim Gaidam, passed the first reading on Thursday. Senator Gaidam says if the bill passed into law, it would ensure repentant insurgents were fully integrated into society and provided with education opportunities. The bill would also allow the agency to rehabilitate, de-radicalize and integrate repentant insurgents in the country. The bill also states the agency will be able to gain a greater understanding of both the immediate needs for combating Boko Haram as well as a tool for counter-radicalization in the future by maintaining open lines of communication. The All Progressives Congress APC has returned to the Supreme Court asking for reversal of its judgment that disqualified David Leon, its candidate in the 2019 governorship election in Bayelsa State. The party's application was filed on Thursday by its team of lawyers led by Wole Olanikpekun SAN. The party says the Supreme Court acted without jurisdiction and denies it fair hearing. Sacked Deputy Governor-elect in Bayelsa State, Degi Eremiyon, in reaction to the Supreme Court judgment, has asked the Nigerian Police Force to investigate allegations of certificate forgery against him.
The judgment of the Supreme Court that I was not qualified to contest as the deputy governorship candidate, I condemn in strong terms all forms of forgery, impersonation, or criminality in any form by the political class, and I have never been associated with same.
Ekiti State chapter of the All Progressives Congress has advised former governor of the state, Ayodele Fayose, to forget entertaining the thought he would ever join the All Progressives Congress. State Party Publicity Secretary Ade Ajayi says the party is not a dumping ground for, quote, failed politicians, end quote. Ajayi further said Fayose's antecedents would not qualify him for membership in the party. APC was reacting to a statement credited to the former governor, stating he would defect to the APC if his ordained People's Democratic Party state chairmanship aspirant failed in his bid for the job. The Central Bank of Nigeria has limited to 6 the number of companies involved in importation of milk, its derivatives and dairy products. The federal government says the new policy is a move to increase local production. Emeka Kelechi Mikalam reports.
It's been days after Nigeria's central bank released its milk import policy, and the effect is now being felt here. The bank said it wants to reduce import dependence on milk and dairy products, as well as encourage growth of dairy farming. Only 6 major firms are exempted. It turns out quite unfavorable for traders like Nnamdi, who deals in baking supplies and sells a wide variety of dairy products. He complains that the price of this commodity has almost doubled.
We don't have any local production of milk in Nigeria. All the milks have been, all of them that have been imported. They're supposed to have started industry in Nigeria before they ban it. They're supposed to have started something, begin to develop something, so that the product that are being produced will cushion the effect of scarcity of milk.
Nigeria spends around $1.5 billion on milk imports annually. But the policy hopes to spiral upwards local milk production by 50,000 metric tons from the current 500,000 metric tons within the next year. However, the nation's 200 million population consumes an average 1.7 million metric tons of milk.
Those deficits are bound to be there, but the thing is that government has to start from somewhere. The market reacts to it. Those who have milk will hoard the milk and then expect and induce a rise in the price of milk. So you see a short spike in the price, but over a short period of time, there will be equalization.
Experts say the long-term impact is encouraging, especially with additional perk of low-interest loans for local milk producers.
We're going to have a lot of investment going into dairy, which GDP picks that up. We'll see aggregate production come up, which increases GDP, and you see aggregate consumption increasing. In all three cases, they will increase the GDP.
Nigeria has been looking to diversify its economy from oil, reduce imports, and boost local production. The Apex Bank had put a ban on a list of commodities from accessing foreign exchange officially. So this now brings to 44 the total number of import items banned for foreign exchange by the central bank.
Coming up, African stories. Lesotho Prime Minister misses court date over wife's murder. Police think he has fled the country. And later, international news. Big argument at the European Union headquarters over bloc's €1 trillion budget. Welcome back. This is ANN News. Now to African stories. Lesotho's Prime Minister Thomas Thabane, who was accused of killing his wife and was due in court for hearing on Friday, did not show up. Police said they were unsure of his whereabouts. Lipolela Thabane was shot dead in June 2017 near her home in the capital Maseru, 2 days before the minister took office. Thabane's current wife, Messiah, was also being charged with ordering Lipolela's murder. She's currently out on bail. The Prime Minister bowed to pressure and announced on Thursday he would step down in July. Both Messiah and Thomas Thabane, who married 2 months after Lipolela's killing, have denied any involvement in her death. Authorities say the Prime Minister's whereabouts are unknown, and some even suggest he might have fled the country. The on now off again agreement on the formation of a unity government in South Sudan is on again. The two parties, President Salva Kiir and opposition leader Riek Machar, are back on track with a joint decision to form the unity government by tomorrow's deadline. Will it happen? Here is reporter Patrick Oyet.
The two leaders will see a unity government formed this week as scheduled, but the unified forces of opposition groups and government are still undergoing training. So President Kiir and opposition leader Riek Machar agreed that the country's security be provided by President Salva Kiir's forces for now. The former warring parties say contentious and unresolved issues would be tackled by the new administration. The United Nations says the 6-year civil war in South Sudan has killed more than 350,000 people. It has triggered food insecurity and displaced more than 4 million people. An attempt to implement a previous peace deal signed in 2015 collapsed when President Salva Kiir's forces clashed with opposition troops loyal to Riek Machar in Juba in 2016. Many here now hope the implementation of the current peace deal would go as planned to end violence in the country once and for all.
South Africa's struggling state power utility company, Eskom, is looking to cut its debt burden by offering severance packages that would cost nearly $30 million. Although Eskom is not making enough cash to cover its month debt servicing cost and expect to lose nearly $1.5 billion this year. It says the severance costs would be recouped within a year through savings. Really? Reporter Sumitra Ndu is in Johannesburg.
Eskom is South Africa's biggest liability now. This is just some of the traffic chaos that ensues when there's load shedding. There's also a direct impact on a business. But Eskom is also a critically important asset for stability and growth. It's going to take time to fix the ailing utility. Letting go of some staff is a first step.
The process is to offer voluntary separation packages to managerial employees, anyone and everyone who is at a level where they are a manager. Non-bargaining employees can apply to leave the company. Of course, management will have the discretion to accept or decline an application, and that's what the process is. Totally voluntary, no forced job losses will occur.
$28 million has been set aside for the separation packages. Those employees that agreed to take the package will leave by April this year.
Eskom will recoup the 400 million rands that it has put to this process within a year of the process closing, and the intention really is to make the company better, more efficient, lean structures, also looking at the best interest of the company going into the future. So management will look at all the applicants critically and decide whether their skills are critical or not to the operation, and whether the operation can afford to lose such people.
Eskom has a bloated workforce of over 46,000 employees. Many believe this move was long overdue.
It's a pinch in one financial year of 400 million rand that, if done well and they're able to pay out these severance packages, they will able to have a relief of a over 50% bloated wage bill in their income statement going forward. So it would reduce their costs in that respect, and it would help stabilize their financials post this period. So there are those considerations and there are those possible scenarios that can be at play.
While the process is completely voluntary, senior employees over 60 have been urged to consider the package.
When we return, international news. Big argument at the European Union headquarters over bloc's €1 trillion budget. And later, sport. Pinnick Sanusi win case over alleged misappropriation of FIFA grants. Welcome back. This is ASEAN News. On the foreign scene, budget arguments in any parliament are usually laced with strong points of view, and they include compromise and reversals. It is not any different in the European Union, where leaders argued vehemently through Thursday night on how €1 trillion would be spent in the next 7 years. This budget discussion is the first to take place since Britain pulled out of the bloc last month. So far, the discussions have been harsh, long, and have led nowhere. There were clear divisions between rich and poor members, while leaders from the bloc's 27 countries met in Brussels on Thursday to argue over EU's future and how they would pay for its ambitious programs. Each leader promoted his country's interests during a roundtable meeting where each nation laid out its grievances and demands. This budget didn't just surface. It is the result of years of efforts by diplomats and numbers experts, but they seem not to have satisfied different interests. Some experts fear the leaders' summit might last into Saturday and still end inconclusively. A suspect has been arrested in a London mosque Thursday stabbing incident. Police say the incident is not being treated as terrorism, but Scotland Yard has launched an investigation into the attempted murder of an elderly man that was stabbed several times during afternoon prayers at London's Regent Park Mosque. Fellow worshippers were said to have wrestled the alleged attacker to the ground. The man had stabbed in the neck the mosque cleric who calls others to pray. The suspect has been described as a 29-year-old man who was described by an eyewitness as a regular at the mosque. The stabbing victim, Rafat Maglad, is said to be about 70 years old and has been at the mosque for 25 years. Paramedics treated him at the scene and then rushed him to the hospital for further treatment. Maglad was said to be seriously injured, but the mosque said his condition was not life-threatening. China and the 10 ASEAN member countries have met at a two-day meeting in Laos. Chinese State Councilor and Foreign Minister Wang Yi and ASEAN Secretary General of Philippine and Singaporean foreign ministers on Wednesday and resolved to jointly combat the coronavirus COVID-19 outbreak. Reporter Rian Meisler was there.
Stay strong, Wuhan. Stay strong, Wuhan. Stay strong, China. Stay strong, China. Stay strong, ASEAN. Stay strong, ASEAN.
A show of solidarity among the 10 ASEAN countries and China in combating the new coronavirus, Covid-19. China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi outlined for the ASEAN ministers the measures China has been taking and evidence that the worst may be over.
We have undertaken every possible measure, taken very serious action to bring the outbreak under control. We are very effectively controlling the virus's spread, and it shows that the preventative actions have worked to produce positive results.
ASEAN ministers outlined the impact of the outbreak on their region, as well as the measures they are taking to contain the virus's spread. A joint press conference reinforced the message that China and ASEAN are united in the fight against the coronavirus.
There will be some impact on our economies, but it will be temporary and limited. Through close cooperation between ASEAN and China, it will enable us to overcome and quickly make up for the economic impact.
We have jointly and comprehensively reviewed our joint effort and commitment and charter future direction. We have also shared with each other the best practices, lessons learned, and effective methods in surveillance, detecting, and researches.
They also proposed longer-term measures to make sure China and ASEAN are better prepared for outbreaks of other communicable diseases, like improving communication between frontline agencies and jointly ensuring adequate supplies of vital medical goods for the future.
Latest on U.S.-China trade row, China is planning to grant exemptions on more U.S. goods. The Custom Tariff Commission of the State Council said on Friday it will decide on the range of goods to be excluded from tariff countermeasures against U.S. tariff laws.
China will soon allow tariff exemptions for more U.S. imports. That's according to a statement released by the Customs Tariff Commission of the State Council. Starting from March 2nd, all domestic firms can apply online for exemptions on additional tariffs on U.S. products imposed during the escalation of the China-U.S. trade dispute. The Commission said it will go through all the applications and announce the results as soon as possible. In April 2018, the U.S. announced to impose 25% of tariff on $500 billion worth of U.S. dollars of Chinese exports. China then imposed an additional tariff of 25% on 106 items of products under 14 categories. The two sides later experienced several rounds of increasing tariffs. On January 15th, China and the U.S. formally signed their Phase 1 trade deal. China announced to halve the tariff rates on February 6 as a response to U.S. measures reducing tariffs on Chinese goods earlier.
Up next, sport. Pinnick, Sanusi win case over alleged misappropriation of FIFA grants. Please stay with us. Welcome back. This is ANN News and Sport. The Federal Capital Territory High Court has cleared NFF President Amaju Pinnick and Secretary General Mohammed Sanusi of a case of financial misappropriation brought against the pair by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. Justice Peter Afen refused the amendment sought by the EFCC to include Pinnick and Sanusi to a trial of misappropriation of an $8 million FIFA grant. This is the second time the court has thrown out financial allegations against both parties. Pinnick and Sanusi say the charges were born out of envy, malice, and victimization. League Management Company has restricted Heartland football clubs from registering new players in the next 2 registration periods. This means they would be unable to sign new players. The club side was found guilty of issues bordering on overdue payment of 9 million naira and wrongful termination of contracts of 6 million naira respectively due to Okereke Mbamadubushi Peter. That is ANN News this evening. Thank you for joining us. For details on these and other breaking stories, visit our website, annafrica.news. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Enjoy your weekend.